Hey, Gangshan from the Commander's Brew. Kyodai, a new 5-color commander from Kamigawa Neon Dynasties. It's another white commander with a 5-color activated ability, and it happens to be the cheapest 5-color commander available right now. So, which way do we go? I mean, there's literally infinite possibilities, so come on a journey with me. Find out the initial ideas, where we ended up with it. I'm not going to give you a deck. I'm going to teach you to deck. Kyodai. It's a 5-color commander. So, as I said, there are literally infinite ways to go with this. We have access to every single non-banned card in the format. That's a lot of possibilities. Let's see if we can get any clues from the card itself. Kyodai. It's a 4-mana commander, not bad. We got Flash, so that's pretty good. We can usually flash Kyodai in. When it enters, we get any permanent indestructible for as long as we control Kyodai, so I think we'll probably want to use that flash as a way to save something important. That's an option. That pump ability, I don't think is where we want to focus, though. 5 mana, all different colors is a lot to get +5/+5, and that only brings our commander to an 8/8. That's pretty good. That's 3 hits to eliminate someone with commander damage, but we might want to go a little bit more to get to 11 with double strike for like a 1-hit Voltron type of thing. 10 mana is a lot for that. So I don't know. Well, I think Voltron is the clue here. The main activated ability is the misdirect, though. I think the real key lies in making a different creature indestructible and putting all our eggs in that basket, as it were. That's going to be our Voltron. So how are we going to get Swole? Well, Exalted seems pretty good. It's an ability that grants +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature that has Exalted. It's kind of like everyone cheering from the sidelines, but they have to be attacking alone to do it. There's a few redundant cards, though, where we don't have to load the deck up with a bunch of dorky creatures that give +1/+1 by themselves. Sublime Archangel, it flies, and it's got Exalted itself, but the key here is it gives all your other creatures Exalted. That's +1/+1 for every creature you've got on the battlefield when Kyodai or the other creature attacks on their own. Angelic Exaltation, printed way later. It doesn't actually say Exalted, but it's effectively the same thing as Sublime Archangel, just on an enchantment instead of a 4/3 flying angel. And then Sigil of Valor is an equipment that essentially works the same way. It's only 2 to cast and 1 to equip, which is a nice low amount to get this thing around. And, you know, +1/+1 for each other creature you control. Just doesn't count itself, so it's almost as good. And we've got other options to get a little bit more complicated too. Paladin class. The first level actually protects our turn a little bit, which is nice when you're doing a Voltron strategy. Level it up once and it makes the whole team a little bit bigger. But the key is once we've invested all that mana into it, +1/+1 for each attacking creature and double strike. Again, we've got to attack with the whole team to get that benefit. It's not the same as Exalted, but that makes a creature pretty big. Eidolon of Countless Battles is another way to give a creature a massive pump by having a huge team, +1/+ for each creature and each aura you control. And it's got that bestow mechanic, so we can just cast it on its own and make it the Voltron or suit up something else for the Voltron there. Pinon Blade is another way to get this effect. I don't love this one because it's 3 to cast and 4 to equip, but if we want redundancy, I bring it up because there's actually more options than I thought to get this kind of ability. And whether it's true Exalted or just those kind of pseudo Exalted making the team huge based on the amount of creatures we gotta have creatures. That means tokens. It's 11 p.m. in Burbank, Kamigawa, and you know what that means? It's time for Token Talk. Hey, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Token Talk. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk to some classic token makers. We're going to meet some of the new up-and-coming token makers, see what they have to offer. But before we get into that, let me tell you what's in the news. Hidetsugu, Devourer of Chaos. Have you heard of this guy? Anybody? I mean, Devourer of Chaos. I got to let that guy into my fridge, into the crisper. I got some baby carrots that are causing some chaos that need devouring, if you know what I mean. Kura the Boundless Sky got caught driving a mech without the proper license for it, so they got their license taken away from them. Now, I guess you could say they're Kura bound to Ventura County on weekends. You know what I'm saying? Kotosei the Silent Spider. I don't like any spiders in my house. I'm sorry, I don't care what you bring to the potluck. No thanks, Kotose. Anyway, we got a great show for you. My first two guests here are classic token makers. They cost a ton of mana, but they make a ton of tokens. That's Army of the Damned and Stormherd. All right, you two, how's it going? You know, you get a lot of tokens out of you when you spend all that mana, right? I mean, you get what you pay for, I suppose. Yeah, classic token makers. I mean, you've staples in Commander for quite some time. Anyway, we got to keep this segment short, but do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you're doing coming up? No? Okay then. My next guests are newer on the scene. These are cards that make tokens potentially as much as our last two guests, but maybe they make less. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing though, they cost way less mana. That's right, it's Ink Shield, Call the Coppercoats, and Release to Memory. Okay, hey there, how's it going? Good. So tell me, what's it like costing way less mana than those other cards? I mean, I know you gotta take your trade-off. It's possible that you could be cast and make literally 0 tokens, but I think the upside speaks for itself. You three have the potential to make way more tokens if the timing's right. So I think that's okay. Anyway, that's all the time we have for Token Talk, but be sure to tune in next week when we're talking to the makers of the Chuck E. Cheese tokens, the ones you put in the machines to hopefully win tickets at Skee Ball. Oh, fun show. I like the takeaway there, though. I think it is interesting to think about, do you want to run those big classic token makers, exactly what it says it does, but you pay for it, or would you rather have the more variable ones? And I have to admit, I think my sort of Timmy Commander style, I like those variable ones. I like the ones where you can make massive amounts of tokens for just a few mana, and maybe they're dead in your hand sometimes. That's a trade I'm willing to make for the stories. We play for the stories, right? And if you care about tokens and going wide, you got to consider something like Awakening Zone as a form of ramp. It makes tokens which work for our Exalted bonuses, and we can use those tokens to cast bigger things if we're in that position. From Beyond, same kind of card, but it just costs 1 more, and the creatures are 1/1s instead of 0/1s. There are instances where we might want to swing with the team, so I do like having that 1 extra power on the board. On that extra ability to search for an Eldrazi card does not matter in this deck. And while we're on the subject of ramp, Cryptolith Right, when you're going wide, turning everything into a mana dork for any color is massive. And I think Song of Frailes is basically as good. We get that ability for the first 2 chapters of the saga, but again, it never ceases to amaze me how few turns a Commander game is. Having that for 2 turns is probably long enough to either get done what you need to get done, or someone's going to wipe the board anyway and it wouldn't have mattered. And that third one, if we can get there, that's a swing with the team. Indestructible, Trample, and Vigilance. Heck, even if we're only giving Trample and Vigilance to that 1 Exalted creature we're swinging with, that's big game. And all of these little tokens that we're attacking with, if we can give a ton of Exalted triggers to one of them, we can make it into a formidable opponent. But I think we can do better. Who's our real Voltrons? I mean, Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin's just about perfect. You're going to stack the triggers so that Krenko gets big from the Exalted triggers, and then we get the +1/+1 counter and a ton of goblins. And if we're able to make it another round around the table, that just makes our Exalted even bigger. And in the same kind of vein, Tana the Bloodsower. Tana gets huge with Trample, hits somebody for a ton of damage, maybe eliminates them, and we make a ton of Saprolings to keep it going the next time. Nadir, Agent of the Duskanel. We can swing with Nadir and make him huge, and if anyone deals with him, great. We're going to get a bunch of Elf Warrior creature tokens equal to his massive power. Or maybe we swing with the team and just let Nadir get huge the hard way because those tokens die. Either way, I'm happy to have it in the deck. And then something like Giant Adaphage, just a classic giant creature with Trample. Native Trample is kind of key here, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you're going to make a token of him. Maybe that one gets Exalted next time. Share the wealth, right? Shauna Sisse's Legacy can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. Little bit of extra protection for the turn we want to make Shauna the Voltron, and Shauna herself has that +1/+1 for each creature. It's kind of like double Exalted if you think about it. And Geist Honored Monk, same deal. Star, power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control, and bringing in a few Flying Spirits, that's a bonus. Maybe we want to make one of those Flying Spirits our Exalted Voltron. Could be. And if you're going to put a Voltron together, how could you miss Invisible Stalker? can't be blocked, hexproof. That's just everything you want in a Voltron. I also like Gutter Skulker, similar but different. It's a more recent creature, but it also has Disturb, so we can cast it as an aura from the graveyard, kind of get pseudo haste by putting on a creature that's already been around. But as long as they're attacking alone, which is kind of our game plan, they can't be blocked. I love that. So we've got no shortage of options on who to flash Kyodai in and give indestructible, suit them up with our Exalted triggers and attack for, I don't know, about 1,000,000 points. But we still need a couple of ways to ensure we can get through. It does us no good to pump something up to a 30/30 if we can't get through someone's board. That's where Archetype of Imagination comes in. It's a classic. Your creatures fly, nobody else can fly or gain flying. That's a recipe for unblockability. Great. And Rancor is a classic for a reason. It's just a green. You put it on whoever you plan on attacking with. They get their whole Exalted bonus and an additional +2/+0 and the trample. The trample is key. Can't be chumped. And the best part about Rancor is if anyone deals with the creature, we get Rancor back and for 1 mana, put it on someone else. And it's probably worth protecting the team too. I mean, Voltron's gotta protect itself. We gotta think about protecting the team too. It's not good enough to just protect the person who's Voltroning because it kind of depends on having a huge team. We gotta protect everybody. Unbreakable Formation's perfect for that. 3 mana instant, give everyone indestructible. And I can imagine a world where we would cast that in our main phase and just swing out with a huge vigilant team. Heroic Intervention, classic for a reason. What's it going for now? $10? Yeah, but we can do things a little bit cheaper. We have 5 colors, so we can use Boros Charm. And Boros Charm has the bonus of giving a creature double strike too. So if maybe we can get Kyodai up to 11 through the Exalted triggers, not through pumping up his ability. Heck, that's a game-winning move right there. And just in case we can't get a creature big enough, we are running Tainted Strike. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains Infect. Yes, that's it. If a creature gets up to 9 power, this brings them to 10, and that's an Infect kill. We do have a card with Infect printed on it in this deck. Does that mean you have to make it known that we're an Infect deck in their Rule 0 conversation? I don't know. That's a gray area, but you know, as soon as a card with Infect appears, people are going to scream that you've got an Infect deck. So this might be something you'd want to make known up top. Or not. You do you. If you're going to call having an Infect card rude, it's a rude move. And we're brewing with the philosophy that once you make a few card choices, those kind of lead to other card choices. Then we should probably lean on the rude moves, right? We got all these ways to make our team indestructible, so board wipes? Doomscar costs 5, but if we can foretell it at some point, it only costs 3. It destroys all creatures, and even if we've only got Kyodai protecting one creature, our main Voltron, that might be worth it to get rid of everyone else's board. Cleansing Nova gives us the choice, our creatures or artifacts and enchantments. Maybe we'd want to pick the artifacts and enchantments if we have no way to make our team indestructible, so we can get some value out of that. And Route. Costs 5 mana, but if we've got some extra lying around, we can pay 2 more to make it instant speed, basically. If we can only pay 2 mana for a Boros Charm, and we can afford another 7, that's 9 to clear the whole board except our team. That's still cheaper than 2 activations of Kyodai's ability, I might add. And if we're destroying all these creatures, Rise of the Dreadmarn, this card's got a ceiling through the roof. Ceiling is the roof. Can a ceiling be through the roof? The roof is the ceiling, sort of. Maybe there's insulation or an attic or something up there. We get to foretell it for 2, and then for the rest of the game, paying a single black mana, we get a whole bunch of zombies for the non-token creatures that died. And if we're packing a bunch of wraths, you can be sure that for an additional black mana, we can replace our board even if we can't protect them with a whole bunch of zombies and get back in the game. Whew. Dirty. I mean, how many wraths do you run? Generally speaking, the Commander's Brew philosophy of deck brewing is I like a fun game, right? Games should be fun, creatures should be relevant, and the combat step is an important part of the game. I want it to exist. I mean, that's what this deck is built around. So typically I try to run 1 Wrath per deck, but this is one where maybe we're going to make that exception. You tell me though, how brewed would you go with this deck? Heck, how would you brew a 5-color commander when you have infinite possibilities? This is how we've gone with it, but let me know in the comments how you might have gone. In any case, I'll see you next time. And thanks for being you. The world's a better place for it. See ya.